Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe you can never be sure there'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.
It had been wild and windy in Greendale. A lot of branches had fallen from the trees. Some had broken the telephone wires. "Dear me," said Pat, "that's a nuisance. There'll be a fair number of telephones out of action now. Oh, I wonder if the Reverend Timms kept that stamp for me. Better pop in and see him. I hope he remembered." Hello, Reverend. I just popped in to see if you kept that Australian stamp yesterday.
Of course, Pat. Just the thing for your collection. Waste not, want not.
Thanks. But where are you off to, Reverend?
London, to meet my sister Elsie. She's flying over from Australia. Haven't seen her for years. Here's that stamp.
Thanks.
Such a nuisance. I'll have to visit everyone to cancel church meetings while I'm away. Such a bother. With a train to catch, too. If only the phone was working.
It's this wind we've been having. It's brought the wires down.
Well, I'll just have to hurry. The train goes in an hour.
Hope you get round in time, Reverend. Cheerio. Have a good trip.
Hello, Pat.
Pat called at the post office for the letters. Morning, Mrs. Goggins. I'm not late, am I? Not really, but I thought you might have trouble getting through, what with all these trees blown down. Pat told Mrs. Goggins all about the Reverend Tim's letter, his trip to London, and his telephone being out of action. It's a bad job, isn't it? My phone's working anyway, said Mrs. Goggins. Hello, Greendale Post Office here. Who is it? Elsie Timms? Urgent message for the Reverend Timms. Flight diverted to Manchester. You'll come on to Greendale by car. Yes, I'll ask our postman to dash over and tell the Reverend not to go to London after all. I've got the message. Tell her I'm on my way. Bye, Pat. I hope you're in time. Bye. Hold tight, Jess. You're going to see some pretty hot driving now.
Look out, Ted! Looks as though the Reverend's gone. I'll leave a note in case he calls back before he goes to the station. I might even catch up with him at Miss Hubbard's. Now, Jess, we can take a shortcut along the back roads. It was a bit rough. Oh, no! Now, who's left that there? We'll never get past it. There's only one thing for it now. Come on, Jess. Hup. We'll have to walk it. Hello, Pat. What's all the hurry? Morning, Miss Hubbard. I'm trying to catch up with the Reverend. Have you seen him? Oh, he went a few moments ago. He's in a hurry, too. He wants to catch the London train. Oh, no. He mustn't go to London. I've got an urgent message for him. He did say he had to call at Ted Glenn's first. You might catch him there. You can borrow my bicycle. Go on. Thanks, Miss Hubbard. I'll try anything once. Come on, Jess. Hold tight. Oh, dear. I couldn't do this every day. Oh, oh dear. Oh, I'll be glad when this is over. Oh, oh, this is hard work. Whoa! Hello, Pat. Whatever are you doing? You all right? I'm trying to catch up with the Reverend. Oh, you're too late. The Reverend's gone. But he said he'd call on Granny Dryden before he catches his train. Oh, no. Just look at that front wheel. It looks very peculiar. Leave it to me. I'll fettle it. You can borrow these roller skates. I've just mended them. You'll fairly move when you've got these on. Well, I said I'd try anything, and I must catch the Reverend before he catches his train. Thanks, Ted. Here we go again. Oh, oops! You're doing fine, Pat.
It's not so good uphill. How do you stop? Whoa! Whoa! Hey! Whoa! Way! Whoa! Meanwhile, Sam was taking the Reverend to the train. I thought I saw Pat dive over that gate, said Sam. Hello, Sam. Ah, Reverend. Thank goodness you haven't gone to London. Pat told the Reverend all about his sister's phone message, saying she was coming straight to Greendale.
Lord bless us, what a good thing you caught me in time. There's no need to go to London now. Thank you, Pat.
Here comes Peter Fogg, said Sam.
We'd better get out of the way. Goodbye.
Peter was following Sam's van along the road.
Hello, Pat. Sorry I blocked the road with me trailer. I'll give you a ride back to your van.
Thanks, Pete.
I couldn't walk it.
Here's the little story of a very special cat who's the friend and good companion of a certain Postman Pat. Traveling through the country with his good friend by his side, Pat knows his cat just likes to be there, for he always likes to ride through the beautiful valley and its lovely countryside as he sits up by the window and the views go gliding by. Jess is his cat. Jess is his cat. Jess is his cat, and it's always been like that, and it's always been like that. Always been like that. Always been like that, ever since that he was given as a tiny little kitten. Ever since that he was given as a tiny little kitten. All the folks in Greendale like to wave or stop to chat, for they always like to see Pat as he goes by with his cat through the beautiful valley and its lovely countryside as he sits up by the window and the views go gliding by. Jess is his cat. Jess is his cat. Jess is his cat, and it's always been like that, and it's always been like that.
All right, Pat.
Yes, thanks, Pete. Cheerio. Now, where did I put my pen? I must have left it at the vicarage. The Reverend Timms was carrying his sister's luggage into the house.
I made it. Thanks to you, Pat, I got back just before my sister arrived. Oh, and I found your pen on my doorstep.
Thanks, Reverend. I hope your sister enjoys her visit.
Bye, Pat. Goodbye, Jess.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat.
Bum, 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 bum. Dee-dum, dum, dee-dum, bum, bum. Rum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe you can never be sure. There'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.
It was another hot day in Greendale, a very hot day. Everything was drying up. "It's a real scorcher today," said Pat to Jess as they drove along. "Phew, I'm thirsty already." Mrs. Goggins was trying to get cool outside the post office. "Morning, Pat. Isn't it hot? And we're going to be without water today." "I know," said Pat. "The lake's really low." "They're going to turn the water off this morning. Whatever will we do?" "But they can't turn off the lemonade. Here, have a drink, Pat, before you go." "Ah, just what I need." My, that's good. That's much better. Thank you. Well, I'll be off then. Hey, don't forget Granny Dryden's parcel. It looks like something special. I won't. And thanks for the drink. Cheerio. Pat put the parcel in the van to deliver later on. He started his round with the village letters. He met Granny Dryden out shopping and told her about the water being cut off.
"Well, it's a pity the old pump's not working," she said. "There were plenty of dry times in my young days, and do you know it never dried up, not once."
I wonder, said Pat. I wonder if Ted Glenn could mend it. I must ask him. He can fix just about anything. Morning, Pat. Morning, Mrs. Pottage. Let's see, I think I have something for you today. Oh, thank you. Right, Jess. That's the village done.
Now for the farms. The water was already off at Greendale Farm. Peter Fogg was drawing water for the cows from the old well. Hello, Tom. Helping out? Hello, Pat. Warm work, this. Still got water in the old well. Let's have a look. Oh, whoops. Oh, now you've done it. I wonder if I can fish it out with this hook. Ah, got it. It'll be nice and cool anyway. At least I didn't drop this down the well. It's for you. Oh, thanks. Could you drop this can of water off at George Lancaster's place? There'll be no water up there. Sure, we'll be going past there, won't we, Jess? Cheerio. Hello, Pat. Isn't this drought terrible? We haven't got a drop of water left. Don't worry. If you look in the back, I've brought you a can from Peter Fogg. He said you'd be short. Thanks, Pat. That's grand. Cheerio! Pat remembered to call at Ted Glenn's workshop to ask if he could mend the old village pump. Hello, Ted? Anyone at home? Ah, there you are. Pat asked him about the pump. What, that old pump in the village? Well, I don't know. It's worth a try. I'll get me tools. Leave it with me. Pum 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 pum, pum 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 pum, dee 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 dee, pum 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 pum. Mrs. Thompson was enjoying a cup of tea. Pat called with a letter. Hello, Mrs. Thompson. How are you getting on? Are you out of water like everyone else? Oh, no. Our spring's still flowing. Ah, very nice, too. I wonder how Ted's getting on.
There's a handyman called Ted Glenn, and he's working once again. He can just about fix anything you'll ever need to mend. Maybe a tractor or a ladder or a broken frying pan. Just go down and see him, and he'll help you if he can. He'll just say, "Leave it with me, leave it with me. I'll try to fix that up for you as quickly as can be." He'll just say, "Leave it with me, leave it with me. I'll try to fix that up for you as quickly as can be." All the valley knows that he's the best of handymen. They all say, if you want things mended, go and see Ted Glenn. A broken clock, or a horseshoe, or an engine in a van. Just go down and see him, and he'll help you if he can. He'll just say, leave it with me, leave it with me. I'll try to fix that up for you as quickly as can be. He'll just say, leave it with me, leave it with me. I'll try to fix that up for you as quickly as can be. He'll just say, leave it with me, leave it with me. I'll try to fix that up for you as quickly as can be.
Granny Dryden was watching out for Pat. He brought her a can of water as well as a parcel. Remember what you said about the old pump? Well, Ted's mended it. It's going a treat. When she opened the parcel, she discovered it was Pat's new digital watch, which she had ordered for him from Manchester. Pat was very pleased with it. I'll always be on time now, he said. Thank you for getting it for me. I'll bring the money tomorrow. Look after yourself. Goodbye. Pat had kept a can of water for himself, too. Jess kept a sharp eye on it. He didn't want another wetting, no matter how hot it was.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Bum, 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 dee-dum, dum, dee-dum, bum, bum, rum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe you can never be sure. There'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.
There was deep snow in Greendale. Peter Fogg was busy clearing the roads. Nobody could get about until he had shifted the snow. Postman Pat, and Sam Waldron, and Miss Hubbard followed in Peter's tracks. The Reverend Timms was clearing his path. He waved to Pat as he slowly went by. Keep my seat warm, Jess. Morning, Mrs. Goggins. Isn't this snow awful? It's a good thing Peter Fogg's clearing some of the roads. We'd never have got through without him. They do say there's 10-foot drifts up at Intake Farm, Pat. And here's an urgent parcel for George, up at Hilltop. You'll never get there today, you know. Oh, dear. But I'd better take it just in case. I usually manage somehow. Well, mind how you go, Pat. We don't want you getting buried in the snow. Oh, I'll be all right. Cheerio. We can always dig ourselves out, can't we, Jess, if we get stuck? Pat was on his way. He had to drive carefully along the slippery roads. At Greendale Farm, the twins were waiting for him. Oh! Who threw that? You little monkeys. Two can play at that game. Hey! What's going on? Oh, dear. Sorry, Mr. Thompson. I didn't know you were here. I was aiming at the twins.
That's all right, Pat. It's only a bit of fun. You're just in time, 'cause the road's blocked and the snowplow's stuck in a big drift. We've come to dig it out. You could give us a hand.
OK. I can't get on with my round anyway till the road's clear. I'll just give Mrs. Pottage her letters first. The snow's bad this year, Mrs. Pottage. Well, the twins are enjoying it.
Yes, so I've discovered.
Bye, Pat. Peter Fogg was already digging when they got to the snowplow.
Here we are, Ted. This is the spot. Whoops. Don't worry, Peter. We'll have you out in no time. Thank goodness for that. Phew, it's warm work, I can tell you. Come on, lads, put your backs into it. Hang on. I'll see if I can get through now.
He took a run at the snowdrift.
Come on, Pete, you can do it.
He was through.
The twins had been busy. Bye.
Bye, Pat. Bye.
Pat stopped at the vicarage with a letter for the Reverend Timms. But Dr. Gilbertson came to the door instead.
Come in, Pat. The poor Reverend slipped on the ice and broken his leg.
Oh dear, that is bad news.
Hello, Pat. Just look at this. Isn't it stupid?
A piece of bad luck, I'd say, Reverend. But I've brought a letter to cheer you up.
Ah, yes, from Cousin Sylvia. That'll make good reading.
Oh, but what about the parish magazine?
I was going to take it round today.
I can take it with my letters, said Pat. No trouble at all. I'll see they get through. Cheerio, Reverend. At Thompson Ground, Dorothy Thompson was out collecting the eggs.
I hope you haven't any letters for Hilltop,
She said.
The snow's so bad that Peter had to turn back. The plough just couldn't get up the hill.
I've got a parcel for George marked urgent. What can I do? Perhaps I could walk it.
I've got a better idea. We can use the old farm sledge. I've got to take some food up for the sheep.
Well, it's a long time since I was on a sledge. But it looks like the only way of getting the parcel there.
Here we are,
Said Alf.
You'd better take George some groceries.
Said Dorothy.
He might be running short, being snowed up like this.
They loaded up the sledge. Off they went. It was hard going uphill, but lovely downhill. The sheep were glad to see them. Just look at that drift. George's house was nearly buried. Hello? Anybody in? George was out. He'd gone to feed his sheep. So Pat left the food and the parcel on the table.
We'll have a fast ride downhill,
said Alf.
Give us a push.
Hold on. Here we go.
Hold on, Pat. Help. Oh, 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 oh dear. You all right, Pat?
All in one piece, I think.
Hold tight.
Hey! Mind that tree. Whoa! Ho, 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 ho.
Whoop. Hey!
My goodness. That's one way of delivering a parcel,
We'll need a hot drink after that.
said Alf. Here we are, all ready for you. Jess was glad he'd stayed by the warm fire. Thanks, Mrs. Thompson. Just what I need.
Aye, there's nought like a good cup of tea.
Thanks for the ride. Goodbye. The rest of Pat's round was in the valley, and the roads had been cleared and gritted by now. No more digging or sledging today, said Pat. It takes more than snow to stop us, Jess.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat and his black and white cat. Bum 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 bum, dee-dum dum dee-dum bum bum, rum bum bum ba-dum bum bum bum. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe you can never be sure there'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.
It was a cloudy morning in Greendale, but as Pat set out along the valley on his way to the village post office, it brightened up. A large van was parked in the narrow road. It was Sam's mobile shop. It was going to be a tight squeeze getting past. Come on, straighten up. Come on, you could get a bus through there. Plenty of room. Hello, Sam. Thanks. Could you give these to Mrs. Atkinson, please? Right, old Pat. Mind how you go. Oh dear. I think we're stuck. It's all that rain. It's made the ground boggy. Hello, Pat. Still here? Yes, I am. I'm stuck in the mud. I'll give Pete Fogg a shout as I go past. He can tow you out with his tractor. Hang on. Thanks, Sam. Well.
Looking at life through a farmer's eyes, always aware of the changing skies. The wind and the rain, they all make their claim as he plows and he sows and sets seeds into rows. He sees all the wonders that nature can bring as he works all the year to bring rich harvests in. Looking at life through a farmer's eyes, always aware of the changing skies. Hedgerows with birds, wild animals and trees. In the bright summer sun, he sees busy honeybees, and he's working with nature as all round the farm he'll try to make sure good things come to no harm. Summer and winter, seasons all through, there's never a time when there's nothing to do. Setting the crops and preparing the land, he always can do with a good helping hand. Looking at life through a farmer's eyes, always aware of the changing skies. He works between forests and valleys and hills, for the flat even plains with an unbroken view. But wherever it is, still the farmers can claim that they work for our bread with their harvests of grain. Wherever it is, the farmers can claim that they work for our bread with their harvests of grain.
Peter came at last. Hello, Peter. Can you tow me out, please? My van's stuck in the mud. Easy. Sam said you'd need help. I'll just back up. Now then, just tie it on there. Right. All right. Ready? Bye. Thanks a lot. Pat was on his way again. Morning. Morning, Pat. You're a bit late today. Yes, I got held up down by Atkinson's. I was trying to get past Sam's van, and I got stuck on the grass verge. Then I had to wait for Peter Fogg to come and pull me out with his tractor. Oh, a good thing he did. Look, Major Forbes' bull. It won first prize at the county show. Isn't it a magnificent animal? Have you seen it?
No, and I don't think I want to either.
There's a letter for the Major, so you might meet the bull. Better keep a sharp lookout. I'd run a mile if I saw it. Cheerio.
Dee 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 dum 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 ba dum bum bum bee bee dee dum dum bum 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 bee bo ba dum bum 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 bee do rum bum 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 diddly dum bum bum bum.
Ted Glenn was waving to Pat to make him stop.
Some fool's left a gate open. I bet it's those campers. The sheep have got into the clover field. It'll kill them if they eat too much. Can you give me a hand to drive them back?
Yes, of course I will. I used to work on a farm when I was a lad. Have they gone far, then?
You can see them up there. They've spread out a bit. We'd better get after them. Hang on, Pat. We've left a gate open now. We're as bad as the campers.
I'll shut it.
You go that way, and I'll go this.
Right. Phew. That was warm work. What's that funny noise?
Hey up! It's that bull! Run!
Oh! Oh! Hey, wait for me! What's up, Ted?
Oh, it's my ankle. Oh, by gum, does it? Ouch! I can't get up. I think I've broken it.
Now what are we going to do? You can't sit here till it gets better. I'd better go and get Dr. Gilbertson from the village. Won't be long. Pat gave Dr. Gilbertson her letters and told her about Ted's broken ankle. "Oh dear, my car's in Pencaster being serviced," said the doctor. "Then I'll take you in my van." So Dr. Gilbertson brought her bag. She sat in Jess's place. Ted was glad to see the doctor.
Oh! Ooh! Ouch!
She soon bandaged his ankle up. It wasn't broken, just badly sprained. Try not to put too much weight on it now. Pat's walking stick came in handy.
Thanks, Pat. Oh. Eat by gum.
You'll have to ride amongst the letters, Ted. Easy now.
Oh. Oh, dear.
Jess rode on Dr. Gilbertson's knee until they arrived back at the surgery.
Bye, Pat.
Ted was glad to get home. You all right now?
I'll manage. Thanks for helping. Cheerio. Bye.
Pat was on his way again. He still had a lot of letters and parcels to deliver. Hello, Alf.
Hello, Pat. Thanks for getting the sheep back. It's the same thing every year. Gates left open all over the place. We'll have to have words with them campers, won't we, Dot?
What a morning, Jess. Rounding up sheep, dodging bulls, fetching doctors, and now we're late with all this post. We'll have to get a move on this afternoon.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat.
Bum, 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 be-dum, dum,